Our second speaker for the evening is Charles Hardiker. Did I say that correctly? Almost. Okay, I'm just going to say Charles. With a speech entitled, "Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself." With a speech entitled, "Life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself." Please welcome Charles.
I'm just going to quickly start with saying to Amir that my pursuit of happiness is to do a Toastmasters where I don't follow you, and maybe I won't feel so inferior to yourself. Thank you. Have you ever Googled your own name? Yes. Caius, definitely can put your hand up. If you're a narcissist like myself, you're probably Googling your name every day. But do you own your own name? Seems like a basic human right, but it's not. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, Bernard Shaw said, "Life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself." And this is one of those occasions. It was a quiet Friday morning in the office upstairs. 90% of people were working from home, except little old me. And I was bored, so I sat at my computer, typing away, and gave the cursory look over my left shoulder, then my right, and typed into Google, Charles Hardacre. Bogdan, keep it PG. What I found shocked me. Pages upon pages upon pages of another Charles Hardacre, the artist. That day, the artist established himself as my nemesis, and I had one true purpose in life. I was going to be the #1 Charles Hardacre on the internet. How was I going to do this? Luckily, when I arrived at City, my new manager had said, "Charles, you need to get 12 hours of training done this year." So I trawled through the City training library and found courses on social media, sales, and self-branding. Because that's what I was. I was a brand which I needed to sell. So, my first strategy I took straight from the film Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. I created Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, and an Instagram account. I built my own website to rival that of my nemesis. I started a YouTube channel to start vlogging. Well, I thought to myself, that's pretty easy. This whole venture's going to be easy. My nemesis is going down. However, it turned out to be exceptionally hard. After a few days of taking some nice pictures out the office up on floor 5, posting them on the internet and getting a few likes, I ran out of ideas. The sudden realization, I was 30 years old. I get into the office at 6:30 in the morning. I go home after 6 to watch Netflix, bed, then repeat. This didn't really make for a social media sensation. I had to do more. So I learnt about curating, finding a niche that I was interested in. So on my social media sites, I started sharing articles about self-development and self-branding. I shared articles about gentlemanly behaviours. For my work, I'd just started a new job, so I got more into what I was doing. I found articles about electronic signatures and robotics and general fintech and started sharing them. But I was selling another person's brand. I was getting popularity, but I wasn't selling my own brand. I had to personally do more. So I joined a local running club. I joined a local hockey club. I started going more places and seeking out more adventures and experiences so I could share them with everyone else. I joined Toastmasters to become a better communicator. But this campaign against my nemesis, the artist, was never about him. It was about me. When I Googled my own name, I was looking into a mirror and it reflected nothing. And instead of being despondent, I seized this opportunity of a blank canvas to recreate myself. I just left the army. I needed to become someone else. My whole life was the army. Then I was nothing. So I recreated myself. And that's where the Bernard Shaw inspirational quote comes from. My resettlement from the army, I read an article from Peggy Orstein about I tweet, therefore I am. And this has been a cornerstone of my resettlement. It's taken me on more adventures. I've had more experiences than I ever thought wildly possible from when I left the army. But it's not about, as I said, it's not about this artist. It's all about my self-creation. If you Google me today, you'll now find me on the top of page 2 of Google searches. I've got a long way to go to beat my nemesis, but it's no longer about an arbitrary Google search. It's about my own self-development and self-creation and finding who I am, or creating who I am. I own my own name, but do you?
Life is not about making this. Life's not about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. Charles started off his speech quite admirably, and he finished it the same way, which is great because that is the topic, or that is the objective of speech number 2. It's one of the purposes, is to have a strong opening and conclusion. I think using quotes definitely helped do that. The sort of 4 things an evaluator is asked to look at are content, structure, delivery, and audience. And I'll just use one word for each of these to summarize Charles Hardacre's speech this evening. Life is not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. Number 1. Content. Captivating. I'm sure we all agree there's a bit of a storytelling mixed with real life experiences and what could have been a bit of dramatization, hyperbole. So that's what you'd expect in a fairy tale like Charles's life. Second, following the content is the structure. Despondent. I know it's one of the words Charles actually used in his speech to refer to something else, but I would use it there because I found that at times I was struggling to see whether the structure was about bouncing himself against Charles Hardacre, the artist, or whether it was about something else. I know Charles is a clever speaker, and he probably didn't want to use the rule of threes, which is a very simple rule, way below his above par intelligence. So I think that's a good one to use at times. So we had content, we had structure, delivery. I think we all agree a military man needs a booming voice, and Charles has that, so I'll just say booming. And audience. I had a feeling at times that, and the word I would say here is condescending, is that the audience was left a bit sort of in awe of Charles's greatness, which is good at times, the self-deprecating sort of humor, not sure if he means it or not. Given when I asked him what I should look for earlier this evening, earlier in his speech, he said, well, my greatness, and ignore the bad bits. I think condescending for this one particular speech, I think I may have been spot on. To summarize, the four topics an evaluator is asked to evaluate and how they relate to Charles' speech this evening. It was the content, it was captivating storytelling, the structure, which I believe was despondent because of I would have used the sort of facing off against Charles Hardacre, the artist, as my ploy to build structure to the speech, because I think Charles can use in the future. The delivery was booming because I found it very engaging, and in no time that I felt floundering for what he was saying. And the audience was condescending. I thought it's a hit with kind of self-deprecating approach that Charles used. Thank you very much.
Thank you.